What's going on, everybody? I am going to be giving you guys my quick spoiler-free thoughts for Swamp Thing. Yes, that's right, the show that is on the DC Universe streaming app. And the series finale just aired yesterday, or just dropped on the app yesterday, and I watched it, and I wanted to wait until I was completely done with the season before I did this review on this video. So, here we are. And I mean, some of you probably know like my thoughts on the pilot. I really enjoyed it. I like how it sets up the world that that is Murray, and how how this plague in Murray brings Abby Arcane back, back home, and then it links her up with Alucard, and then they develop a pretty good chemistry while they're trying to solve this mystery and basically get to the bottom of it together. And yeah, I mean, I really enjoyed that pilot. I'm like, I can't wait for more. And then I know not too long after that, then they fucking canceled it. I'm like, where we won't get any more seasons. I'm like, what the fuck? But we'll get there. We'll get there. But I have to say, the performances in this show are really top notch for the most part, like with our key characters. And I love how Abby Arcane and Swamp Thing are together. Like, I like how protective they are with each other, because Swamp Thing and Alucard are basically the same character. So yeah, I mean, like that's I think that's pretty obvious. And then we have Jason Boudreau, who is very unsettling. I love Kevin Durant's very unsettling performance, like with that character. It's like, I mean, I just feel a bit more uncomfortable from each episode. I'm like, wow. I mean, Avery Sunderland is no exception, and Maria Sunderland, and she is, yeah, I mean, like, she's a bit intimidating too. I mean, a lot of characters are really interesting, like when we're not around Swamp Thing and then we're focused on another character. Even though I do find myself saying, wait, let me go back to Swamp Thing, wait, don't cut away yet. I mean, like, still, the other characters are very interesting to watch. They keep my attention, and they do a fantastic job with that. I mean, like, I'm not, like, wondering, oh, so how much time do I have left? I mean, time seems to go by pretty fast with these episodes. And to the point where I wish that some of them were extended. But they're not. But I guess because we can have nice things. But, I have to say, the effects on this show are pretty awesome. As awesome as it is, I'm glad that Swamp Thing himself is not a full CGI character, like where they have to put him in afterwards after people are looking at nothing, and then they just put him in there and pretend that he's there, but he's not. But I'm glad it's just, like an actor in a suit, like Derek Mears kills it in that role. I mean, he surpassed my expectations with that character. I'm like, wow. I mean, I knew he was going to be great, but when I see him in action, like through these episodes, I'm like, wow. He really he really killed it. I mean, like, when there's an emotional scene, it breaks my heart, and when there's a badass scene, I'm geeking out. I mean, like, it's just all the way around. There's not one disappointing moment with his performance. I mean, the cast members are great, but I'm just like, wow. I mean, for a guy, like, who is basically the leading man of the show, and I mean, he's done good work outside of this show, but I'm like, wow, he really brought his A game in this character into this show. I'm like, I cannot applaud the man enough. Like, wow. And also, I love how the show leans more towards the comic book elements. I don't think that the live action movies or the 90s live action show did quite as much as this show did. And I did do some research prior to this show beginning, and I'm glad I did, because if I went into this with an open mind and not did any research at all, and then like what they've done with this show, I'm like, whoa, what is going on here? I mean, like, it would have been, like a rewarding experience either way, but like going into that, I mean, like, just after doing my research, I mean, I already had a feeling more in what direction that the show was going to go. I mean, the writing was on the wall for me. I mean, just because I did my research. I mean, out of pure excitement. I just like I want this show to stream. I mean, give me something to like to feed my brain with until the show gets on the app for me to watch. You know what I mean? So yeah, I mean, like I'm really glad I did that, and I'm really glad they went in those directions. Like where it leans more towards like those comic book elements, and it still stays pretty grounded too, outside of all the like swamp stuff and everything, and also like they do, and they made a pretty bold move, and not including Anton Arcane, who is like Swamp Thing's known arch nemesis. Like he was the main villain in the movies, and he was the main villain in like the 90s live action show, and he was even the main villain in the cartoon show from back in the 90s. But here, I mean, that's Abby's uncle, by the way, but they don't touch base on any of that in this show. So I can basically break it down to you guys that he does not appear in this show. And I'm like, I was a little bummed about it at first, but I'm like, you know what? I kind of changed my mind as time went on, and I'm totally fine with him not being a part of, at least in this season, even though I know it's fucking canceled after this. But if it gets picked back up, I can see him stepping into the story. But and also I love how it has little horror nods. I mean, like it does feel like a horror movie at times. Like in the pilot, there was a moment where it felt like I was watching The Thing. I mean, you probably know what scene I'm talking about. And there's a scene at some point in this season where it felt like I was watching the very first Halloween movie. I mean, if you see the scene, I'm pretty sure you'll know what scene it is. I mean, like where it's like, wow, it felt like they really took that scene from Halloween. I mean, just keep your eye out. I mean, keep a sharp eye out. I mean, like I think you'll know what it is. If you've seen the first Halloween movie, then you probably know what I'm talking about. And let's see here. And the finale, I want to say that I liked it. I mean, it was fine for what it was. I mean, I only watched it once, and it was my first impression. So in my first impression, I was a little let down because I felt like I was expecting a little bit of closure since the show is basically canceled. Excuse me, since the show is basically canceled. So if you're not going to give me a season 2, then give me a little bit of closure, damn it. And I felt like this finale did not do that. Like once that finale was over and then the credits stopped rolling, it made me want season 2 even more. I'm like, come on, man. I mean, this is how you thank me for jumping on board with the streaming app. Like, okay, here's Swamp Thing. Well, I hope you enjoyed it because you're not going to get a season 2. I'm like, ugh. I mean, I didn't hate the finale. It would have been, I think I would have, been a bit more forgiving if season 2 was definitely on the way, and because I felt like they left the door wide open for season 2. I mean, oh my goodness, man. But I mean, I felt like they could have done a bit more with that finale. I mean, there are a little bit of missed opportunities there, in my opinion. And I feel like it should have been extended, to like maybe an hour and a half. I mean, we would go crazy with it. I sure would. But overall, I did enjoy Swamp Thing, and I hope that it does get a season 2 because, Lucifer got canceled, and then it got picked right back up in another network. I mean, on Netflix. So there is hope for Swamp Thing. I mean, a lot of people really love the show, so I think that will basically be the fuel, and that will be the formula that revives the show. I just feel like if we keep basically pounding on, like just anyone who can get their hands on this show, or, DC Universe, whoever's running it, just get them to be like, look, guys, just get it back. I mean, I know they said that there was budget issues, and then there was creative differences and yada yada yada, but still, whatever the reason is, regardless of what the reason is, it still sucks that the show is done. Basically, this is the finish line, like. But still, regardless of it being a very disappointing cancellation where they just said, nope, this is it, regardless of all of that letdown, I'm gonna give Swamp Thing 4 solid chair spins out of 5. So here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4 chair spins. So yeah, I mean, like, I really enjoyed this show overall, and I feel like they, I mean, there's a couple moments where, where I'm like, okay, this episode wasn't quite as good as most of them, and then such, but still overall, I had a great time with this show, and a part of me is still holding on to hope that we'll get another season. I mean, the fact that so many people like it, that's what's giving me hope right now. I mean, like, let's get together, let's all basically assemble and just help bring this show back. Let's do it. Hashtag save Swamp Thing. But yeah, if you guys enjoyed my review for Swamp Thing, make sure you thumb up this video, and make sure you click subscribe if you're new to the channel, and make sure you click that notification bell so you can be updated on my latest videos. Thank you for watching, and I will see you guys in my next video. Later, guys.